most profitable and well-known sites for PC gamers to buy their favorite games. I mean, yeah, you can get other things on the site, but really, who cares? Steam contains over 15,000 titles of a diverse range of genres for everyone to enjoy and making it perfect for anyone who wants to play something on their computer. Add some amazing deals and it's no wonder how they became to be so big as they are today. Thanks to the website's popularity, it's also a perfect launchpad for a multitude of independent developers and publishers to post their games. You can see a huge spike of new indie games being published and sold on the Steam market in recent years. As of this video, 70% of the entire Steam game market is made of nothing but indie games. That's over 6,000 games! So many games! So many games! But you can't have indie games without developers, and one of these developers is Just1337 Studios. They're a small Croatian studio formed in late 2015 with one goal in mind, developing and publishing indie games for people all around the world to enjoy. As of today, they have published 19 games and developed 17, with 2 of those made with the aid of other indie developers. In this series of videos, I will be reviewing the 15 games that I currently own. Don't think that I've made these videos to hate on Just1337 Studios. No, I want to show you everything about this company, starting with their humble beginnings to the now money-hungry shadow that they are today. I also want to show you how their games grew over time, comparing games from previous ones saying how they got better over time. In my opinion, these games fit the channel perfectly because they are true indie games. They are all made by a small team of 4 who decided to group together and make video games on Steam. They develop and publish their own games from Croatia and work together to achieve their dream. Now they grew to a team of 9 and are still growing. P.S. During the series, I'll be calling them Just1337 Studios, because since they have the word studio in their title, you are forced to say studios at the end of it. So if they want to call themselves a studio, then I will call them a studio. But just like real life studios that don't have the word studio in their name, it's more of an extension of their title. So when you have to say stuff like Warner Brothers Studios or Bethesda Studios, this is the same thing, but they have the studio in the name, so they will be called Just1337 Studios. Now, let's start off with our first game from Just1337 Studios. Shiplord. Released to the public on December 2nd, 2015, it was the first game to be released by Just1337 Studios, just 7 months after they all joined together for the first time. This game supposedly brings a new spin onto the genre shoot 'em up. With a vast space setting and a unique gameplay, they made strong first impressions on Steam. You're in a spaceship, flying away from Earth, not knowing where the next time you'll ever see it again. With your crew, all anticipating the journey ahead, you remember that the only set mission in mind: save Earth. You're the last hope from the planet. Armed with nothing but a shield, you fly fearlessly, directed into the enemy territory. The year is 2420, and the object of the game is to go around in your spaceship finding quasars, white energy that gets created and dispersed around the galaxy by dying planets, and is the last known source of energy left in the universe. Unfortunately, you aren't the only person trying to get these balls of energy, as you're fighting against the Creo, and stealing the quasars before they can take it. Or else they might take over the universe. Sounds interesting enough. Most people will find this wall of text in a video game familiar, not story-wise, but concept-wise, like they saw the same storytelling techniques in a multitude of video games and films. This is usually a very basic and lazy way to tell the background of a story to a player or viewer, if we're talking movies. Usually, I'll let it slide since these are mostly implemented in to either save time or money, and since this is an indie game, that's not far of a stretch. But they usually make up for that by making the story perfect with the money or time they save doing that. Yet they leave so much in the story that it's almost impossible to understand. How does energy from a dying planet keep a living planet alive? Who are the main characters? What is Earth like? Dystopian? Utopian? What happened to the sun? How are quasars the last form of energy in the universe? They leave out so much of the story that they never explain in the first place, that it's amazing that there's a story at all. The characters that you get to see are so bland in personality that they might as well not even be there in the first place. I get more character development out of f***ing cardboard than these characters. Saying generic things like, "Good job, you're getting better at this," or "Please do your best, you're our last hope." For some reason, they always feel the need to say "Captain" at the beginning of all their sentences. hammering it into your skull that you, the player, is indeed the captain of your ship that you're flying. Throughout the game, you go through 3 boss battles, each with their own unique twist on the game and different attacks. You unlock each boss after playing 4 levels, and they all have different attack styles. The first 2 are nothing special, with you just needing to survive the boss's attacks until the timer ends, but the final one has a health bar. You don't really attack him, he kind of attacks himself. He spawns these wormholes that kill you, and then these guided missiles at you. But if you manage to get the missiles into the wormhole before it hits you, then they will get confused and attack its own ship. This is a super original style attack I've never seen in other video games before. After you defeat the Night King clone, just look at him. He says some boring drabble about how you are a puny Earthling and then dies. Your robot crew says, "Good job," and then it's safe to go back to Earth now, but since you destroyed the king of the Cryo Empire, other more powerful foes are going to be headed your way, leaving it open for a sequel. The voice acting in the game is not the worst I've ever heard. It's pretty decent compared to the quality of the rest of the game and the artwork that they actually draw, not the 3D stuff. It's pretty good. The only animation I could find that was made by the developers, I think, is the flames that shoot out of your ship when you move forwards and backwards. Quick question, what looks more exciting to you? This? Or this? Why is that game more exciting to you? Is it because of the color, the music, the movement? Making a good game is more than just creating good gameplay, and the developers knew that. In the main trailer for the game, they sped up the gameplay to make a game look more exciting than it actually is. I mean, when you have to lie about your product just so that people will buy it, then you know that you need to fix something. I mean, it's not about creating visuals that match the gameplay, too. That's more important than just slapping on some free space backgrounds and calling it a day. But that doesn't mean that the game can be boring, too. So, let's see what you have to do in the game. Oh, no. No, please, don't tell me that all you do is collect white dots on the screen. No. No! No, that's all you do. What? How do you up a game that badly? I've seen jumpstart games with more interesting gameplay. I mean, we live in an age where anyone can get whatever they want almost immediately, giving us short attention spans. So when you start selling them a game that just drops them into a level and tell them to survive for 180 seconds with nothing to do but collect little white orbs on the screen, then you should know that you have made a bad game. Okay, maybe I was wrong earlier, maybe the visuals of the game actually do match the gameplay to a perfect T, cause the game moves slowly, has little excitement, and is repetitive. To top it all off, most of the gameplay mechanics go against you, even the abilities that are made to help you. Yeah, I should talk about that. The game comes with 3 abilities. The first one is a shield. Since you have no weapons to destroy the asteroids, you instead get equipped with the blue force field around you that destroys them for you. It's all fine and dandy when you activate it, giving you temporary immunity, and you start having fun for once, crashing into asteroids, moving around space, having a gay old time, when out of nowhere you die. And the first time you're like, what? But then you realize the shield ended right before you hit an asteroid. You have no idea how often this has happened to me, because this game gives no warning for when the shield is going to end. No voice saying, "Shield over," or at least flashes to signal the player that it's about to disappear. Like, imagine the star in Super Mario not having that flashing effect at the end of it. There would be 2 options of what that star would be like. Either you go slow and not use the star to its full potential, or you go super fast and have a high chance of dying because you have no warning of when it's going to end. The second power-up is a time slow, which should be called a motion stop, because all it does is stop momentum of the asteroids, making them move very slowly for a short amount of time. This allows you to move around and collect quasars more easily now that the game is even slower than it usually is. But again, it ends abruptly, meaning that even when you use the power-up, you should stay far away from the asteroids, just in case they don't move forward, suddenly killing you. But that's not the biggest problem with this. No, sometimes when you use this ability, it can glitch out the game and cause an asteroid or 2 off on the side of the screen to come flying at you at 1,000 miles per hour. This, of course, kills you instantly, like the rest of the game. Like, what? How did the developers let this into their game? Did they test out to make sure no glitches like this would happen? I have a feeling that they have just tested out the abilities once or twice along with other features of the game, then released it immediately. The only good ability that you can use is the third one, where it collects every quasar on the screen at once for you. It doesn't have any negative side effects because it's so useless to use. You can only collect from 1 to 3 quasars at a time with this, and then it takes forever to recharge. The only tangible way you could get any use out of this is to spam the button every time it's ready. But don't worry, these abilities have upgrades! Yay! Look, you can even upgrade how often quasars spawn. Let's just upgrade that and... What? A millisecond? How do you even manage that? To put this in perspective, every frame of this video is 33 milliseconds long. In-game, it's not much different. How do you think it's a good idea for you to add an upgrade that's impossible to see in a game because it's shorter than a f***ing frame? The other upgrades are just for half a second. That's the biggest upgrade I could find. Like, how is an extra half a second of a shield going to help me? How is it helpful that my quasar collector is able to recharge half a second sooner? I know. This is just 1337 Studios' first video game ever. Cut them some slack. And I will. I don't mind the background, the character models, boss battles, art, the bland voice acting, the occasional glitch. Hell, I'll even let the story slide. But when you have useless upgrades, pointless abilities, boring gameplay, unfair disadvantages, and repetitious levels, then that's just inexcusable. While the game feels like a lot of heart went into it, it also feels like it was a rushed product, like the developers just wanted to get the game out as fast as possible. There are glitches that can kill you, and most of the game's mechanics are broken beyond repair. It has an interesting gameplay style, albeit boring, but you could tell that they tried to be original in the grand scheme of things, but that doesn't excuse them for all of the problems the game had. To sum it all up, this game was the first to make me genuinely angry while playing it. Not because the game was hard, but because a group of people decided to make this and thought it was a good idea to put on Steam and charge $10 for it. I was angry that people actually bought it for $10, and I was angry because the developers think that stealing a bunch of assets and putting it on their game consults as hard work. That's why this game gets a 4 out of 10. See you next time for part 2 of Just 1337 Studios. Next up, Asteroid Bounty Hunter. Really, you think that would be a joke, but it's a real game. God help me.